that was scary.
You're pushing my buttons now, so.
And nothing that I did was actually for myself. It was just so that I could find some element of happiness. Drinking to try and get other people to like me, drugs to try and fit in, food to try and make myself feel better just for a split moment. I had my first panic attack ever. I was like, what even does anxiety mean? I love my mum. She's a hero. She's the strongest person I know. But she was the queen of self-destruction. And it's because of that that I'm so stern and hard and honest with myself. It's the thing that saved me. It's the thing that got me to make change.
Hi, hello, and welcome to the new episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. Today in my studio, as always, I have a brilliant guest for you guys. A person whose story you may find very inspiring. As I understood, the COVID time was something that either broke you or built your character. And this person that sits near me used that time the best, as I heard, to build a character, to build the habits, to build actually the lifestyle that he can be proud of and something that we all are looking forward and looking for as a role model on our Instagram. So today you will meet a person who, from all destructive behaviors, became a person who coaches pretty famous people, and he will tell us his open book vulnerable story of how he did that and what was his journey.
I think you could call me the king of self-destruction.
The king of self-destruction. I love the name, actually.
Yeah, I should put it in my book.
Would you call yourself that?
I don't know. It would. I don't know if it'd be good traction. Maybe it would be.
I mean, we'll discover it during today's journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Zach.
Thank you for having me.
I mentioned before, though. So can you tell us, me, all of our viewers today, who are you? Who you were before that change of your life and who you are right now?
Just in short, just a man trying to find his full confidence, I think is what I would say. And that's been whenever I sway off track, that's been the main thing that I always want, is to be able to feel good within myself and to have that reflect in everyone that I touch in the world, my work, the people that I'm around, is just have my full confident self be present in front of them, and also have a positive impact on those people too.
I love it. But there was a time when you were not really happy with yourself, when you didn't bring that positive impact into everyone around you.
King of self-destruction.
Tell us about that time.
I moved to France when I was a kid, when I was 9. And before then, I had a very stable environment with my family, grandparents who took care of me, aunt, mum, uncle, the whole shebang, cousin. I was playing in the garden. It felt like, from what I remember, a very flowing, happy lifestyle. The one person that tended to always jog my memory was my mum in that lifestyle. She wasn't quite all there. And a lot of it was because she was struggling herself. She needed time away. And during that time away was when my grandparents would look after me and my aunt would look after me. My dad wasn't really too much in the picture himself either. And so it really was just my grandparents and my aunt. Mom didn't have a great relationship with my family, and she was struggling mentally. And I think it's safe to say that she was struggling with depression for my whole childhood. She wasn't happy, and she made the abrupt decision to move to France and take me with her. And that was at the age of 9. So I think everything for me, my whole journey, and from all the work that I've done, I feel like it started then, when I was 9, and when my mum and I made the decision to go to France. The family that I used to have was no longer my family, and the safety that I used to have, from what I can explain, it just felt like complete chaos from then on, from 9 years old. I went to 12 different schools from there, from the age of 9 years old to about 16, 17, 18. Went to 12 different schools and just kept on moving because Mum was never happy, and therefore I was never happy. And whenever I wasn't happy, Mum didn't know how to deal with it, and then we kept on moving. I think Mum would be someone who I speak about a lot in this, because I think it all stems from parents. Everything stems from parents. The way that you are, the way that you go about your life, the things that you find important is all dependent on how you've been brought up as a child. And I think for me, my mum has had a very, very pivotal impact in everything that I do today. I love my mum fully. She's a hero. She's the strongest person I know. but she was the queen of self-destruction.
So it makes you a prince, not a
Sure, I'm
kingdom.
the prince of self-destruction. The prince of self-destruction, I would say. Mum wasn't too confident within herself. She would pick herself apart every day, look at herself in the mirror and find 100 things that she wanted to change. She wasn't happy and she didn't know how to make herself happy. So we would move to different places. She'd find relationship after relationship. She'd find pain after pain, hatred after hatred. And she would just be living a life where her emotions would just completely navigate the decisions that she made. I've never met someone, and I know that it's easy to say because she's the person I spent most of my time with, but up until this day, I've never seen someone lose control of themselves as much as I've seen her. And at the age of 9, 10, when you're in a place that you're not too familiar with, a new country, not speaking the language, that can get quite scary because there's no one that you can fall back on. So I think I had to grow up, or I had to try and find a way to fight from a very young age. Naturally, I took on a lot of the insecurities and the struggles that my mum had herself. And I started to speak to myself in the way that my mum started to speak to her. When I was younger, I slowly started, I think it was like 12, 13, I started to see myself put a lot of importance on things like the way that I looked, my image, the way that I was seen by other people, whether or not other people liked me. And I think that's really where it really started to cultivate, where it started to begin, was that this seed started to grow, which is I need to earn respect from other people. And I think a lot of it was because I never felt like I had that respect from my mum. If she can't respect herself fully, it's very hard for her to be able to do that for her kid. And I fully respect that and I understand that. But for me, it's taken a lot of work, but for me to be able to now understand that and be okay with that and take that as part of my journey has helped massively. But back then, yeah, it was hard. And I started to put more and more focus onto my looks. I started to get obsessive over different parts of my body, my hair, all because that was what my mum would do for her. And I really didn't know any other way for me to be able to get any compliments or validation from other people, aside from trying to figure out how to look the best. That was when a lot of my struggles started with my body. So I struggled with body image disorder and eating disorders for 7 years from the age of, and it wasn't really diagnosed. It's self-diagnosed because I never sought help. As a male in the body
It's
image,
very uncommon. Yeah.
it's so uncommon. And not many people speak about it. And not many people, at that point, I didn't even know it was a problem. I didn't even know it was a thing that I could seek help for.
How you understood that there is a problem? Because, I mean, all of us a little bit insecure. All of us are having some body parts that we aren't feeling confident and maybe think about surgery or something when we grow older. But how you understood that there's a real problem?
Lockdown. So throughout my childhood, I took on this identity that I needed to look good to feel good. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. But when I was 15, 16, a lot of people started to give me some. When I was 15 and 16, I started to develop from a boy to a man, 14, 15, 16. And I started to develop like facial features, stronger facial features, defined abs. And then I started to get more and more attention from girls, from even just friends and people. And I started to realize, oh, maybe that's what I need to do in order for me to be able to be accepted. And my longing for wanting to be part of something, went to so many different schools. I never really felt part of a crew, part of a community. And my longing for wanting to be part of a community all just got put onto, if I look good, then I will be, then people will see me. Then from there, put so much pressure on myself to have to stay stick thin. I started to try and diet down in any way that I could. I reached a point where I was 57 kg and now I'm 75. And from that, if you see photos, I can send you some. It doesn't look like me. I look like a skeleton. But at that time, when people would give me compliments of like, oh, Zach, your jawline, your cheekbones, your abs look so brilliant, I felt so brilliant. I felt amazing. I felt accepted. I felt confident, or at least what I thought was confidence, right?
So that constant flow of validation kind of blur your vision to see that there is a problem
Right.
behind that.
And I thought I was doing something right. And so then I would enter very restrictive diets. And it was then that I started to develop things like binge eating and bulimia. So for me, food was my comfort. Food was something that even when I was a kid, I still remember we we used to play this game. So we used to play this game of like randomly picking and choosing someone's posts. So when I was 17, we used to like play this game of randomly picking out posts from what you would say on Facebook when you were 12, 13, and it would be so cringe. Mine was, I just can't wait to get home with my 3 packs of Doritos and my salsa dip and my sweet chili sauce to go watch some friends. And that was literally it. That was my life, was I'd hide away through food.
It was happiness.
That was my happiness, was food.
So if your happiness was food, if your comfort was food, why restrictive diets? Was it like self-punishment mechanism in a way?
No, because I had these 2 things, which was food made me happy, but also being lean made me happy too. And then that's when I started to enter eating disorder territory, which was I'd eat a lot and then I'd feel really terrible because, I need to be lean to look good and feel good. So then I would enter this moment of starving myself. I wouldn't eat for 2-3 days sometimes. I'd do fasts. Sometimes I'd go on 4-hour walks. I still remember 2018, I think it was 2019, I ran a half marathon the day after Christmas. And people would look at that and go, you have so much discipline. You're so motivated. And I'd go, yeah, no, I was in so much pain.
It was not about discipline. I really want to stop on this point just a little bit because we all see in social media people doing amazing things, and we always like they keep the diet, they do morning yoga, or they walk with their, I don't know, pets on the sunset. And we always think that this is something done out of heart, out of pure intention of live the best quality life possible. But behind the scenes, behind this beautiful post, the reality shows that intention might be very different. What was your intention running that marathon?
I always say that looked like the most disciplined act of all, but it was the biggest cry for help that no one saw. My version of discipline is completely it's changed over the years. And I think now discipline is you doing the thing that you need most, but that you want to do the least, whatever that may be. And if you were to put it, like you said, a lot of people say, I need to be more disciplined with my food. But they don't look at what it is that's actually stopping them from being able to have full control of their food. What is it that you need to be disciplined at? Is it controlling your food or controlling things like your emotions? Is it having the conversations that you're not having? Is it laying the boundaries that you're not laying? Is it finding the peace that you're refusing to find because you put so much of your focus on trying to get validation from everyone else but yourself? I think discipline is you making a very uncomfortable decision that's going to move you forward in a way that you don't really see. When I was at that point running that half marathon, when I look back, it was the biggest cry for help, and it wasn't discipline at all. But it was the time where I got the most praise.
Doesn't it please with your mind a little bit when you're doing an act of, I will still call it self-punishment in a way, even if it's sport, it's still like out of pain, out of the motive of harming yourself in a way, and people cherishing you for that. So it might create some kind of dissonance in your mind, like how is it possible at the same time, the same act I'm suffering about, people are praising me for?
Yeah.
How to address that? How to understand where is reality, what is good?
For me, I had to go through a very radical period of trying to detach from other people's praise. So I had to basically, it started off going, I don't care what people think. I don't care what people think. I don't care what people think. And I think I needed that level of aggression towards it and anger to actually start understanding how to not care what people think so much. Because if I care too much about what people think, then I'll put a lot of pressure on myself to try and please them. And then straight away, I will stop respecting myself in the way that I know I need to. So I think it all starts with being able to hold lesser importance on what people say and think. And that comes from understanding yourself more. Because when you understand yourself more, you stop asking everyone else to understand you. I think that's the start. And going back to what you said, which was, when was it that I learnt or noticed all of this? It was lockdown. And it was actually a bit before lockdown. So I went to uni and I'd be drinking, doing drugs, and also eating a lot of copious amount of food that I would then either have to bring back up or do excess cardio for. And that was the self-sabotage. Nothing that I did was actually for myself. It was just so that I could try and find some element of happiness through other people telling me that I looked good or that I was enough. Drinking to try and get other people to like me, drugs to try and fit in, food to try and make myself feel better just for a split moment. 3 weeks before lockdown, I went to a rave and I took some drugs with my friends, as you do at uni. And then and there, on that night, I had my first panic attack ever. And I never knew what a panic attack even was. I didn't even think anxiety was a thing before that. I was like, what even does anxiety mean? Is it like, I didn't understand. But from that day, I think that was the day. Everyone talks about you either have like a radical shift or you start realizing things slowly. And people go through one of the two. You start realizing things slowly or you have like a radical shift. And for me, that was the moment and the time where everything changed. And I can really pinpoint it. And I'm grateful for being able to pinpoint it in that way. Because I can start seeing how everything started to get moments are actually worse for 3 years. It was the worst period of my life, but it saved my life. So that was 3 weeks before lockdown. I had my first panic attack.
Why did that panic attack started the process of transformation?
Because that panic attack didn't go away. I went to hospital that day thinking that I was having a heart attack, when in reality, I was just having a panic attack. My friends would take me to hospital. We were all hopped up on drugs and alcohol, going to hospital, and I was there going, I'm having a heart attack. And you got like the nurse there going, no, you're not, love, you're having a panic attack, wait in line. But the day after, I went home and I'll think, okay, it's okay. I had my first coffee that I'd normally have every day. Boom, panic attack. I'd have the pre-workout that I would normally have before going to the gym, panic attack. And then the panic attack started to get worse and worse, and I started to get about 8 a day.
Wow.
Around 6 to 8 it would be. And I would literally feel crippled, and I couldn't actually go about my day doing anything. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And every time I thought I was having a heart attack. It just so happens a week or two later, the UK started to shut down for lockdown. And I actually say to myself, from being the king of the amount that I used to drink, the amount of drugs I used to do, the amount of food that I used to just shove down my body, I would have gone back to that had it not been for lockdown, because I wouldn't have been able to confront that. But lockdown forced me to go into 4 walls and look at everything that I was doing. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done. It was the most painful thing I've ever done. And it wasn't even my decision. It wasn't my decision. People, like, I could say that I'm brave, but I got forced into it. I got forced into actually looking at all the things that I needed to change. And when I was in lockdown, I listened to a podcast, not a podcast, it was actually a documentary. It was a cricket player. And this cricket player had gone through body image dysmorphia and also eating disorders as a male. And I'd never seen that. And I didn't even know I had it at the time. When I was puking up food and things, I'd just say it was an expensive hobby because food made me feel good. And then I was like, oh, it's expensive, but it's just a hobby.
That's lavish. Just
Right.
tasting food.
Right. Yeah. Just to make myself feel good. and didn't even think about things like wasting food because I was just I was just trying so hard to feel good. And then I looked at this documentary, and it really opened my eyes to what the hell was going on with me, because he would be speaking about his experiences, and then he would actually go to homes of young men who have passed from this. And I think it's something crazy, like mental health. It's like the death rates from eating disorders is the highest form of mental health disease or something. I can't remember what the stats are, but that was 5-6 years ago, and I'd see this cricket player going and interviewing all these families, and they would just be showing their son through a photo frame. And I was actually there, and I was having a look, and the family they were explaining some of the signs that the son was showing.
And it clicked for you.
And I looked at that and I go, I'm doing that, but 10 times worse. And these people had lost weight drastically, but when you look at things like photos, they still had an element of a bit of body fat on them. So it was, your body still had something to go off. And I was looking at the photos that I had, I was stick thin with absolutely nothing. And then I was thinking to myself, God, my heart. And for them, it was the heart that gave up, because when you're going through such a highs and lows with your food, it's a lot on your body. You have such a imbalance with your electrolytes, such an imbalance with your salts, and your body's just trying to fight. And that's why your heart eventually gives up. You start getting things like just general heart conditions. I was looking at myself and I went, I really could. My heart could give up any moment. And that was the scariest thing that I had. And I had another panic attack as soon as I realized that. But then I realized I could actually go. I actually confronted, I was sat there and I thought I could actually go at any moment, because I've practiced habits and self-destruction so much worse than any of these guys that have left this planet.
How old were you back then?
21, I think, was the start of lockdown.
And you've been doing sports regularly?
Since the age of 4 or 5. My mum threw me in everything, but
So let's say if I would meet you on the street, if I would see your Instagram back then, I would most likely think that you're just very healthy, gym rat, sports addict, average boy.
You'd think that I was the healthiest person. And you think, oh, you can eat so much, but that's because you do a lot of sport.
Or you have a great DNA, right?
Or you have great genetics, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What scares me is that living here in Bali and just, being surrounded by the most beautiful people in the world, apparently this top 1%, I've seen already so many cases of how actually people reaching that perfect body shape, and that's not always in a healthy way, in their social media. I would look there and just think like, wow, you have the highest quality of life, but generally it's not that. And that's what scares me the most. Like when you talk about that movie that you watched about the cricket player, exactly, you watch something that a man was sharing the issue that generally women are suffering from, and that opened your eyes, even though it was so obvious, but it opened your eyes that I can have that. Like it just clicked in your head. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, that maybe someone will have this moment of understanding as well, because we're getting obsessed with this beautiful picture, and we think till some point that I want it no matter what, no matter the price. But once you pay the real price, you understand that the price might be your life.
Do you know what's scary? I actually feel like you actually have to get to that point. In today's society, because of the pressure that you have on your body, because of, apparently it opens up so much doors. And because of that, everyone is willing to sacrifice what they think is their life for that, until they realize what that sacrifice is. Because you don't know before you get told, before you get given it by your body. And yeah, it is scary. I think for me, when I was sat there and with the chronic panic attacks and I was looking for answers and I found this one answer, I think that was when I started to realize, I think that was the decision I made was, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And then everything I did started to shift. From that point, I still went to the gym. I still tried to focus on my food because I really wanted to get my dream body. And I think to some extent, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't take confidence from me working hard on my body.
Of course.
And I've come to a place where I'm okay with that, and I'm actually happy with that. But it took a lot of work and a lot of back and forth. But at that time, I'd be going to the gym. I'd be doing the same things that I would do. But something shifted. It was about now me trying to respect my body. And I didn't even know what that meant at that time, because how could I? I didn't know what respecting my body even meant. But every day, the decisions that I would normally make, I'd mostly still make, but I'd make whilst questioning them, going, is that actually right? Is that actually helpful?
We would go into this part of your journey that's already like a happy part of the story. But before that, I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that children are given to specific families also for a reason, partially to be raised in very specific conditions that will trigger some, as some call it, trauma, but actually that will make you you. If you would look backwards and ask yourself, why were you given this specific family, this specific parents? What was the reason of that? What it raised in you? What it created inside of you? How it influenced your journey?
Because of who I am now, I'm so grateful for, it sounds crazy, but I'm so grateful for every bit of pain that got sent my way, for every, and I'm not trying to, I'm actually not trying to create a sob story for myself, because everyone's pain is different. But tapping into it, I went through a lot of pain. But I'm so glad that I went through a lot of pain, because it really did shift, it created who I am today. And I'm not sure my mind goes towards I was chosen for it, but I think my mind goes towards I'm super grateful to have been given the opportunity to live, to experience it. And the reason I say that is because I would not do what I'm doing now. I would not even want to work as hard as I work now. I would not even want to be as passionate, as driven, want to change, want to make change, want to help other people, had I not been almost forced to try and fix my own pain and work on myself and actually just really challenge myself. Because now I've started to realize how great the world can be when you put yourself on your own side. And that's essentially why I would never go back and say I'd want to change it, or I'd go back and say, like, this wasn't for me. I'm grateful. Whether or not I'm chosen, I don't know, but I'm grateful for being the person who got given those challenges. Because I'd always look around to other families and other kids that I'd meet on my way when I was in France, and I'd go, they have such a strong bond. They have such a strong family. Why can't I have that? Because for me, when I'd stop playing with the kids would go home to family. I'd sometimes not go home because I didn't want to go home to my mum. I didn't know what I was going to get. Sometimes
You're pushing my buttons now, so. I mean, I'm a life coach. I help people, so obviously I also have my traumatic that brought me here. So yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Thinking like, why I wasn't that happy to have that happy, perfect family. Everyone respect each other and have family dinners, and everything is so stable and predictable. But I'll tell you, in this stable, predictable families, the most boring people are raised.
Damn right. You're damn right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not even about being chosen. It's that I absolutely love that you see this connection, that your desire to help other people right now on some point is born from the old your own challenges that you overcame. Because this decision, this desire, it should be born out of something. It should have a reasoning. I believe so. So every time when you will see another coach, you will know that this person been through some shit. Like 99% we all been through.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the main lesson? If going back to the parents and family, if you were given this specific family, this specific mother and father to go through some sort of lesson, to develop a skill, to get a knowledge, to get understanding of something, what was the lessons over there?
How to learn how to create, how to be your own safety net would be my lesson. And how that's the strongest thing that can ever happen to you in your life. My goal is to show people how much strength can come from you being able to learn how to be your own safety net. I think in a world where we put so much focus and intention on trying to please others, I want to be able to show everyone how powerful it is to put some of that energy into learning how to please yourself. I think from a childhood of not feeling too safe, and from having to give myself that safety, and from feeling quite alone. Because like you said, when other people went back to their family, I didn't go back to anyone. And for me, it's about really just learning how to be your own best friend, be your own safety net, and see how that can be an absolute superpower.
And that's something no one can take from you.
No.
Yeah.
It's my history.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't regret it one bit. I still go through so many struggles from that part of my life now. Things feel really hard at times. I still get in my own way. I still get in my own head. But I really know how to work through them. Or I'm excited to work through them now, as opposed to dreading it and feeling consumed by it. Because I know from past experience that if I work through it now, instantaneously I become stronger. So this is like, okay, this is just the mud that I need to learn how to step out of. Once I'm stepping out, I'm clear, I'm happy, I've got shiny boots, until I step into some more mud. But my mindset has completely shifted towards pain and struggle. So there are times where I don't feel too good in my body, or where I am beating myself up quite a lot, or where I go through a heartbreak, or I feel like some of my friends have rejected me, or I feel like people aren't paying enough attention to me. But then and there, I know that that is an opportunity for me to be able to question why I feel that way and learn how to be able to give all these things that I'm asking from other people to myself.
Exactly. So what I hear here is two major things that I'm teaching my clients in general. That's how you work with mindset, is that you're rewriting your story. We all have the story of our lives, and it's all only our choice how to see it, how to see yourself as a victim of the circumstances, as a child that was raised in an unperfect family, or as a person who've been given struggle for a reason to develop specific skills that you need in order to serve your greatest purpose. Like when you see your life, when you choose to see your life from that perspective, first of all, it becomes like, it has more meaning, more sense into it, right? And also it becomes easier because you just understand that whatever happens to you, you are choosing how to see it and how to treat it. And together with that, what you said, the last sentence was the most important part, is that for all the people pleasers, for everyone who craving validation or attention from someone else, the only, as I believe you might have your own opinion, but the only solution for that is just to learn how to give everything that you're looking for in other people, how to give it to yourself, how to generate this within yourself, how to generate this self-validation, self-love, respect towards yourself, and keep giving it to you so you'll be fulfilled and you won't be addicted and dependent on other people to give it to you.
100%.
What was your solution? How you did that? Or if you don't remember exactly, what would be the first steps if someone else would ask you for advice in this direction?
I think it's so hard to learn how to respect yourself or to stop looking for the validation. Everyone wants to care a little less about what other people think. And that's why so with my clients, is one thing I say is it's not just physical fitness. There's three panes of fitness. You've got the physical, you've got the mental, and you've got the emotional. This is more of the mental and the emotional fitness. And like in physical fitness, if you want a big bum or big biceps, you've got to go into the gym and do 1,000 reps. The same thing that I say to the people that I work with is, if you want to learn how to not care or care less about what people think, you have to do the mental and the emotional reps. And what that means is you have to make a different decision as soon as you start noticing when you're asking for someone else to validate you. You have to then and there stop and pause and try and find a different decision or make a different decision. Because normally, if we're trying to, so I'll give it for a relationship as the most powerful place for you to bring your people-pleasing tendencies out, is if you start trying to please your partner, or if you notice that you're trying to unnecessarily please your partner for you to be able to feel good. It's about being able to catch yourself out then and there, ask yourself why you're doing it, and maybe try and do something else. Instead of going and apologizing, ask yourself whether or not there's anything to apologize for. And actually just trying to create these strong boundaries within yourself. Those are the mental reps, is actually stopping, thinking, and assessing whether or not it's the right thing for you to do for yourself. Because if you're wanting to be someone that no longer looks so much outside for the validation, then you need to be able to learn how to sit in that tension whenever it comes up. Whenever the opportunity comes up, sit in it and ask yourself whether or not you actually should be doing that. And then you can actually start creating more space for you to give it to yourself. But if you're spending too much of your energy trying to please other people, there's not enough energy for you to learn how to please yourself. So the first step is creating some space, is actually what I would say. So where you would normally try and go and please someone else, stop, think, sit back, and start creating some space.
I mean, I am a people pleaser with for many years. I literally have notification on my phone, like 5 of them, that alarms me every day, 5 times a day. I am my own priority. Me first, then everyone else.
Yeah.
This kind of things, like they're so obvious, but I keep spitting in the same patterns over and over again. Even understanding everything, as you said, is just a matter of time and reps, like practicing the skill, training this specific muscle until it's strong enough to break the pattern, to put you out of this loop that you're stuck in.
Absolutely. And it's hard because when you get validation, that's instantaneously you feel better.
Oh yeah.
So
It's like
trying
McDonald's.
right. It's like food. You feel so good after,
Yeah.
right?
What's the difference between getting validation from someone else and your own? Sell it to me. Because otherwise, I would just keep living. I mean, not me. I'm the best, right? I already overcame everything. But another person would keep living and ask for this validation from everyone else because it's actually fairly easy to get.
Yeah.
Like you know what to
Yeah.
do. You know what buttons
Right.
to press, and you have
Right.
no idea how to develop this self-validation, like inside. What's the difference?
It feels calmer and more peaceful. It's no longer the drug that you're chasing because it's not the excitement. The feeling is completely different. It's no longer, because as soon as you get a bit of validation, your dopamine levels go up there. But then as soon as that validation goes and then you don't have it, it's like food or a drug or alcohol, it starts to go down, it starts to go down. And then it will go below the baseline that you're at to a point where you need more. And at that point, your life just starts going like that. I was so erratic in everything. Felt great, then I felt terrible. Felt great, then I felt terrible. I feel more in control than I've ever felt before. I feel more at peace than I've ever felt before. It's not as exciting. I'll give you that. It's not as exciting. My life was actually pretty darn exciting. And that was one thing that I wasn't willing to let go. But now I've replaced excitement with strength and purpose and meaning. And yeah, it's no longer that I'm getting, flat tires on the road and having to stop off and call AA and all this road trip malarkey where you stopping and starting. It wasn't like an exciting road trip, but hell, I had a car that I could trust and I'm driving, and then I know that car isn't going to break down. It might slow down a little bit. It might sometimes need a bit of a service, but it will be straight back on the road again, ready to get to its end destination. That's what I feel like it is. goes from exciting road trip to self-respecting individual who's driving a car to get to where they want to be.
Switch from live fast, die young to just live long and peacefully.
Yeah. And happy. And
Happy.
it is happy
It is.
because it's just a different happy. It's not the happy that you would experience from being super excited. And I'm still trying to get to grips with it because it's new. It's new. It's really new. And I still get moments. I still get moments where I'm like, oh, I could just go and absolutely send it now. Because it still comes in.
Of course.
And then I'm like, trying to bring in the balance, trying to bring myself back to my own 2 feet and go, is that the best thing to do right now?
Yeah. Keep making the tough decisions every day.
Right.
Keep choosing yourself. Keep choosing the respect to your body, respect to yourself, and the lifestyle that you believe will give you many more years of this happy but boring life.
Yeah.
So, from that point, when you start to overcome your own struggles, you build a business out of it.
It really came naturally. I hadn't had a plan on building a business, to be honest.
Tell us the secret how to become popular, rich businessman overnight by accident. Tell me, I need this recipe.
I think I'm still working towards it. I think I have so many goals that I want to attain. But for me, it was not that I hit some peak. And then I started to realize that that wasn't my happiness. Because when I was a kid, actually, I had one thing that I did have was the comfort of having money. My granddad and my mum would always provide me with anything that I needed financially. I went to a good school. I got everything that I needed. So money wasn't actually my problem and pain. But actually, I didn't have anything outside of the money. There was no support that I felt in the emotional, that I didn't have a strong family system that I could go back to. And so that was what I was really fighting for. So it feels like I kind of hit my rock bottom before hitting the top. And I'm really grateful for it because it means that now I can keep working towards that top. I still want to be successful. I still want to have purpose. I still want to be something. But now, no way am I going to have that. No way is the chase to the top on the condition that as soon as I get to the top, I am enough, or as soon as I get to the top, I'm happy. It's actually completely flipped. It's I'm happy, I'm enough, I'm confident, and that's why I'm getting to the top.
It's about the journey, not about destination.
Hell yeah. And that's so cliche now because everyone says it.
But it's so true.
It's so true. Yeah.
I mean,
But
it is so true.
Yeah.
Once you stop focusing on the goal and you're like, okay, I don't really want the goal. I want the feeling that I will be getting out of journey to this goal. Like I want a sense of achieving things. I want a sense of like being in the right place in the right time, doing something that I'm good at. That's the thing that you're chasing, not like some amount of money or specific business build. If you'll be miserable having that, what's the point?
Yeah. And again, it sounds so silly, but I think people have to go through it. You have to hit some kind of rock bottom. It's like with us, we hit some kind of rock bottom to know that we don't want it. And I always think if you're not at that point yet, that where you want to change, it's because you haven't actually gone through enough pain yet to be able to realize that I have to make the change.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the comfort of not changing is so much more appealing than the pain that is associated. What am I trying to say? Sometimes the comfort of not changing is so much more appealing than actually making the change because the pain isn't great enough. But for me, it was in that way. But yeah, I do that with my fitness now as well. If I'm getting the body, it's because I am the most self-respecting and the strongest individual out there, and that's why I'm getting the body. That's the reward, is because I'm respecting myself the best and I'm the strongest, mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm putting in the reps. It's no longer I'm getting the body, then I'm going to be strong. And it's the same with things like the business. If I'm making it to the top, or if I'm achieving so many goals and being successful, when I say the top, it's like the conventional top of, the big money or the big success in people's eyes. For me, that's not success to me anymore. But it's also still somewhere I want to go and work towards because it's something new. I've never experienced it. My life, I want to go and experience everything that I can experience. But no longer is it going to come from that point of I can only be happy when I'm there.
So what is success for you now?
Success for me now is learning how to be present in my everyday in the pursuit of achieving conventional success. It's learning how to enjoy my life in the best way that I can, respect myself in the best way that I can in the pursuit of achieving conventional success. And then hopefully by the end of it, achieve everything.
And your fitness, the company that you're having, the coaching that you're having, as you already said, it's not only about fitness. What is the idea behind it? What is the meaning behind it that you want people to know also?
Get strong, look stronger. So it's get strong through all three muscles. You're now the person who no longer looks too much for external validation because you know how to give it to yourself. You're now the person who has full control over things like their food, their gym. You're now the person that's learned how to be consistent. You're now the person that's just growing each and every day. And because of that, you're now the person that when you look at the mirror or when you look for your physical goals, you see them because it's, how could you not? Because of how strong you're getting. I think in today's world, we're so obsessed with how we look. We're so obsessed with how we're perceived that we don't give ourselves the chance and the time to focus on getting stronger because we want it so bad because we know that's where the success and the validation is, that we can't actually focus on what is actually going to get you there. So with the body, a lot of the struggles that people come to me with is I'm impatient, or I look at my journey and I'm not making the progress that I want. I'm not losing the scale weight. And then I lose motivation and I can't stay consistent. The reason that you are losing motivation and you can't stay consistent is because can I swear on this podcast?
Absolutely.
Because you're fucking shit at being able to build it. If you're not motivated, it's because you're shit at creating motivation. Why? Because you're focusing on the wrong things. You're focusing on scale weight. You're focusing on the body, as opposed to focusing on all the things that are going to get you there. And at that point, how the hell can you expect yourself to stay motivated if your only focus is on something that seems so far out of your reach? Put your focus back to where it is that it needs to be. And it's the same thing that I apply for my business. Whenever I look at myself going, why am I not there yet? I go, I still have experiences that I need to experience. I still have mistakes I need to make. I still have fuck-ups I need to make. And that's an amazing part of the journey. So fucking get back to your own 2 feet and do what you need to do right now. And I have that conversation with myself. I'm stern, I'm honest. And I think that's the message I want to put out there, is everyone's so focused on the end goal, the body, the scale weight, that they feel so powerless in their fitness journey. And they feel so powerless in being able to achieve their goals. And for me, it's like, no, you have every right to want to achieve those goals. You have every right to want to feel better and more confident in your skin. But you also have every right to respect yourself more in the way of achieving it. Because right now it's not. And I can openly say that.
Where to find this power? Or where are you finding yours?
Pain.
Yay! Pain as a fuel.
I've had to talk to myself in a really, really stern way. And it came from rock bottom. And I knew there were times where I was very close to not being here anymore. And I know that everyone can say that when having not done it, but from what I know, that was scary. And it's because of that I'm so stern and hard and honest with myself, because it's the thing that saved me. It's the thing that got me to make change. And I always say, there's nothing wrong with being hard on yourself. Everyone says I'm hard on myself as though it's a negative thing. No, it's such a positive, it's such a strong charge to make change in your external world, that as long as you're learning how to be hard on yourself to now respect yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. Being hard on yourself to actually respect yourself, telling yourself to fuck off because you're not actually being kind to yourself. It's not just telling yourself to fuck off because you're being mean to yourself. No, it's tell yourself to fuck off when you're not being kind to yourself. And that's been my role model for everything, is being stern to myself, telling myself to fuck off. I tell myself to fuck off 100 times a day. Because I still make decisions that I know are just not going to be good for me. Everyone does. We're all here trying to fucking be happy and trying to, just feel good.
We're all just like confused kids running around and just trying to figure out what to do because everyone lives for the first time. So everyone is fairly confused. I have just a couple of questions towards the end. The first one might be unpleasant, but still. Have you forgave and accepted your mom's choices and character features that created such a childhood for you and adulthood as well?
More than I ever have. Not for her, for me, but in turn, therefore, for her. Me and my mum still have a relationship that many people might question. We send each other messages every day. She messages me every day. We're on such a strong healing journey. She sends me quotes. She's on a crazy journey because she has a journey to overcome, but she has flipped the switch. And that's what I'm really, really excited for her is that she spent a lifetime feeling like she was a victim to life. And therefore, change wasn't in her hands because she was still victimizing herself against everything that she's gone through. And she's spent her whole life doing that. Why me? Why has everything happened to me? I'm a single mum, this, that. And now that she's made the switch, everything in our relationship has also been a lot easier. But there has been a lot of forgiving from my side. Not just for her. And it's also understanding, actually. It's not forgiving. Because forgiving makes it seem like she's done something wrong. And whenever you have it in your head that they've done something wrong, it's really hard to forgive. So I actually replaced forgiving with understanding. Because whenever it's forgiving, you're still in the lower power. And there's now someone who's hurt you that you're now having to forgive. It's so hard to be able to do that. But when you flip that to actually, the only reason I feel that I need to forgive her in the first place is because I'm not taking the time to understand her.
You know what's the next step after understanding?
Forgiveness.
Oh, no. Gratitude.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, forgiveness is a bullshit. Like, literally no one ever own anything to you so that you'll be in a position to forgive. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Prince of self-destruction.
Right. Yeah.
But the next step is actually gratefulness, is that as we spoke, like, you created your hero story, like you chose how to see everything that was in your past, and that made you who you are. So for that, you can be grateful. For everything that some people might see as a mistake, you can see it as something that shaped you into the form where you are now, and you can be grateful for that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Oh, it's cool.
I
know. I think there's a really, really good one that shifted me, which was, you know how everyone's saying it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. I heard that a lot, and I was hearing it a lot, and it didn't really hit. But one thing that I started to realize was, yeah, it is not your fault, and it is your responsibility. Whatever happens to you is not your fault because it's happened. It's part of your life. You didn't choose it. And it is somewhat your responsibility to make things better. But it never really sunk. But one thing that did sink was, if you don't take responsibility for everything that happens in your life, then it becomes your fault. Because the more you try and ask everyone else to understand where you're from, what's going on with you, what's happening to you, the more you're not taking responsibility for it, and the more it becomes your fault. Because actually, no one else is there to acknowledge everything that you're going through if you haven't taken the time to acknowledge it yourself first. If you haven't taken the time to do the work first. And that was something that I did. I put a lot of my focus into trying to get other people to understand me, when it was actually, it's my responsibility to come back and understand myself. So it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. But if you don't make it your responsibility, then it very quickly becomes your fault.
Just a quick question. Did the transformation that your mom is going through, did you push her towards it, or it just happened like separately from your own journey?
It started when I chose to take time from not speaking to my mum. I didn't speak to my mum for 2 years. And it was as soon as I left for uni. I'd made the decision, and I'd noticed that how much better life was without having that hold. And it started off with a lot of anger and resentment. And I think when my mum realised, because my mum was naturally she would make me feel guilty for not sending her messages. She'd make me feel guilty for not talking to her. She'd say, oh, why do I have a son like this? My son doesn't even like me or love me. My son doesn't even look after me. And at one point I made the shift of just going, no, you're right. You deserve someone better, because I had to protect my peace. I was actually done. And I had to say, I'm sorry that I can't do anything for you as your son. I'm sorry that I can't be the son that you want. I really hope that you find protection and peace in your own way. That moment, everything came crumbling down for her. Because when you go back into that going, I do everything for you, I try hard, I do, I'm trying to be the son, which is what I always did. You're still kind of attached and connected. But when I said that, she realized that actually I really was ready to go and live my own life, because actually I wanted to feel happy. And I think at that point she started to get a bit scared, because she doesn't want to lose her son. And nor did I want to lose her. But I think at that point, that was the decision that I made. And that was what made her want to change. So maybe I did kind of force her. And I don't know whether or not that was the right thing to do. But she's becoming stronger every day. And she's got her own world now that I don't even need to feel like I need to protect anymore, which was what I felt. I always felt I needed to be there for her. Now I feel like I've got she's got the confidence to actually go and live her life, which is so amazing. So
Feels like freedom.
it feels like freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And even like it's me going, do you know what, Mum, you're going to go live your life now. I'm going to go live mine. We'll check in with each other every couple of weeks.
I love it. All right. So for the last question so far, for everyone who's been listening to your story today and felt aligned with any part of it, what would be your best advice? What would be the words that you want people to remember, to hear, and to leave after this episode?
Be ruthless in placing your focus into becoming stronger in yourself first, in your habits, your routines, and your mindset. And as soon as you notice your mind or your focus go towards other people or success or achieving things like your body, be ruthless in being able to place it back into the things that are within your control, which is you becoming a stronger person. And have blatant belief that as soon as you become that strong person with the strong habits, the mindset, the beliefs, everything will come to you.
I believe in that as well. I love it. Thank you so much for telling your story today.
Of course.
It was amazing.
It was
You did
fun.
a very good job.
It was so fun.
Absolutely. I'm very grateful for you being an open book, as you promised me, of being so vulnerable and telling your story and all the parts that brought you here where you are right now. And thank all of you for listening and watching today. I hope that you heard the words that you needed to hear today, because everything happens for a reason, right? So that was your piece of motivation. Be ruthless. Do what you really need to do. Choose yourself. Be nice to you, to your body, to your spirit, to your soul. And I'll be seeing you in the next episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. Follow, subscribe. I don't know, just ring the bell, write a comment, do whatever you want to do. And I'll see you in the next episodes. Bye bye. And we're done.
Woo! Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Brilliant.